Welcome back to In Ohio Country Today. And on the phone with us right now is Devin Dye from Dye Real Estate and Land Company, one of our fine sponsors on our television show In Ohio Country Today. We're doing a year in review. Now, of course, you do a lot of residential, but your focus as Devin Dye, the land guy, of course, is about farm and land listings. And when you look over the properties that you've sold over the last year and helped our owners and our farmers, reap the benefits from those sales or take on new listings. I mean, it's as diverse as the people that you work with. We're talking about Putnam County. We're talking about Allen County, Wood County, Williams, Logan County, Hardin County. Let's talk about some of those diverse properties that you've been able to work with and why you've been able to be so successful amid this COVID crisis here in 2020.
Yeah, so that's kind of two questions there. And I'll try to tackle both of them a little bit differently. Number one, our diverse location, diverse properties. Logan County, I get into a little more hilly ground. There's some pasture ground down there, hunting ground, things of that nature. I've sold some there this year. Hardin County, more farmland. Allen, clear up to Wood and Hancock and Putnam and Williams. And so basically, if you just go from Toledo to Dayton and even a little south of Dayton on I-75 and go, 50 miles or 35 miles east and west of 75, that's kind of been the area that I've been blessed to develop relationships with people and work with them. And so the properties range, the farms range in, different types of locations bring different types of properties. For example, we've listed and sold farms from $25,000 an acre this year, which has been, more commercial stuff, industrial development, clear down to $4,000 an acre. So it just depends on the type of property, where it's located, and what pressures it would have around it. Now, as far as the success this year with selling these properties, it's funny, we talk about COVID and we talk about the year of 2020 and what happened and all that stuff. Well, in the midst of that, I found a lot of investors, a lot of people that are interested in, that have a lot of money, that were nervous about the stock market, not knowing what was going to happen or how things would shake out at the end of all this. We also can throw in there probably one of the most controversial elections in U.S. history. So you put all that together and mix it up in a bowl of craziness and call it 2020. All these investors just kind of freaked out about the market, and I sold a lot of properties to a lot of people that had, just wanted to park money into farmland. And then fast forward to, September, October of this year, and commodity prices start going up when no one expected it. And it's just been an exciting, fun year. Properties have sold for good dollar amounts. And, we're just excited about what 2021 brings. I mean, come on. It's got to get more fun.
Absolutely. You're listening to In Ohio Country Today podcast, part of In Ohio Country Today TV show, and our guest is Devin Dye, the land guy from Dye Real Estate and Land Company. We're talking about a year in review in 2020. We're also going to talk about what we would like to see in 2021. But getting back to the properties and the property values amid the COVID crisis, like you mentioned, it's interesting to note the commodity prices hitting those 52-week highs toward the end of the year, especially in corn, wheat, and soybeans. But let's talk a little bit about some of the other types of properties that are being transformed from maybe the farm to commercial properties as well, amid any kind of potential success that developers want to look at for 2021.
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of pressure. So take a little 90-degree turn here. The residential market is really hot right now, Dan. I mean, I could go into story after story after story, but for example, we had a house that we listed and we priced it right. We priced this home correctly, and it sold for $50,000 more than asking price this year. And it was because there's no inventory. There's no one out there that wants to sell, and there's not many listings. So what happens in that time is people build. If there's no inventory of existing homes, they've got to build new ones for people to have, to live in. So there's going to be pressure, I feel, in the coming months and maybe even years on farmland being converted to residential, living space. So I don't know exactly how that looks, but for example, this year I listed a property that ended up getting converted to commercial and sold and is being sold that way. So it's just on location and where obviously if you've got an 80-acre farm that's in the middle of Van Wert County, very far away from other areas, it's probably not going to get developed. But if it's bordering a town here that we live in, you got a good chance of that happening here. With the way things are going right now.
Devin, do you see any legislative changes that would either stall or regress or progress anything happening in farm and land sales?
Yeah, so, boy, I wish I could guess this, Dan. It's crazy to with the new election and the new administration that is looking to take hold of the White House here in January. There have been some proposals in the tax world that would drastically change if these things actually do take effect. I think it's important that you as the landowner really, really have a conversation with your accountant and your attorney, especially in estate situations. If you are estate planning and you're an older person and you're estate planning right now, it's really important, and I want to emphasize that you have a conversation with your tax person and your attorney about how you handle this if they do implement some of these changes. For example, proposal to eliminate 1031 tax deferred exchanges. I don't have time to go into detail of that, but that would be a big game changer in our world. The other thing is to eliminate stepped up basis. So when someone passes away and they leave the farmland or the assets, whatever it is, to their children, they get a stepped up basis, which means the value of that property is now what it's worth on the date of death. Well, if they do away with stepped up basis, the basis value is what mom and dad paid for that farm. So that's humongous. If you sell that farm in, 2021 and mom and dad bought it in 1970 for $1,000 an acre or $500 an acre, you're going to pay a significant amount of capital gains tax. So, there's just a lot of changes that could come in the near future. And I think it's important that you guys really, really get a grasp of it and how to protect those assets that we've all worked so hard for. And we'd like to leave it to the next generation, most likely. Also, moving forward into 2021, I want to have a conversation with some people about who are concerned and on the fence about selling our inventory. And I'm not talking about mine personally. I'm talking about across the industry. Our inventory as far as farmland is down. And when you have buyers who are eager to buy and there's nothing out there for them to purchase, that's a really good time to sell. So if you are kind of on the fence right now about what's the right time to do this, it's a pretty good time right now. So if you're interested in knowing what your farm's worth, having an idea of what we could get you for it, please don't hesitate. Reach out to me. You can contact me at my email, devindye@gmail.com. or you can call me on my cell phone, which is 419-303-5891. But as we move forward into 2021, low inventory and pretty high buyer interest right now. We've got some good things happening in the ag community that has created liquidation in these farmers and investor buyers. So, yeah, I'm excited about 2021, and I think there'll be some good farm sales to show it.
Well, amid the COVID crisis of 2020, one of the true success stories of 2020, the launching of Dye Real Estate and Land Company. Devin Dye has been our guest on the In Ohio Country Today podcast. And Devin, we appreciate your sponsorship on our television show and much success in 2021.
Well, Dan, I just want to say thank you to you and your team, because when I talk about harvesting and planting and what you do for me helps me plant those seeds, and I really appreciate you and your team in Ohio Country Today.
Well, these are great feature stories, and they do bode well for our farm and land owners out there, making sure they get the biggest bang for their buck. Devin, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Dan.
Closed captioning paid for in part by the following. Dye Real Estate and Land Company specializes in farmland and recreational land throughout Ohio. A company for people who enjoy the rural lifestyle and looking to buy or sell their land. All of our land agents are members of the Realtors Land Institute and have extensive experience in farming and agricultural land business. At Dye Real Estate and Land Company, we'll work with you to tailor fit a plan that works best for you, your family, and your investments. Our services include 1031 tax-deferred exchanges, land brokerage, land auctions, and CMAs and valuations for estates and planning. We are Dye Real Estate and Land Company. Call us today and visit our website at dyerealestate.com. Dye Real Estate and Land Company. We know the land business because we live it every day.